my computer. Okay, I'm so excited for everybody who showed up today. We're doing this kickoff of accountability coaching, and how this all came to be was I am now currently running a 12-week program called Powerhouse Program. And what we're doing in that is this opportunity to have like 12 consistent weeks of information that I feel like I'm always talking about with individuals, and letting the individuals kind of dive into the info, set weekly goals, and kind of live it on their own, but then have all this amazing support that goes along with it. And part of that support is group accountability, just within like a Facebook page. Another piece is coaching, and this is the coaching component. And then we have contact pages. We have lots of like, it's daily basic support. So why I'm telling you that is because one of the first guests that I'm going to bring on in a second is Belinda. And she had reached out saying, I would really like to jump on these accountability coaching calls. And I said, could you do me the biggest favor? I'm going to pull you out of our Powerhouse plan and let's go public with this in our Direction Not Perfection community, just to give everybody a little bit of an idea of what this can look like, can feel like. It's supposed to be really comfortable. People can have their cameras off. You can come on. You can just be a fly on the wall and listen. There's really like no rules around this. It's almost a support group in its own sense, with coaching from your wine-loving dietitian. So what I wanted to start with was, you should know this about Belinda and I have worked together in the past. So if we seem super comfy together and back and forth, that's because, yes, we have known each other for years and years and years. But again, we are doing this part of the program together. So Belinda's a couple weeks in, and now I'm going to throw the floor over to you, Belinda, and ask kind of where you are in your thought process, and bring your specific questions to our coaching call today. You don't have a time limit. If all we get through today is Belinda, that's just how it's going to be. And then we'll just keep holding questions and individuals, and then this will just happen every Wednesday. Okay. Whew, so here we go. So Belinda, give us a little
Yes.
lowdown of where you are and kind of where your brain is and what you need out of today.
Okay. So do you want me to start from the beginning when we had our conversation?
No, you do not need to give everyone the full lowdown. I would say more just like a recap of what does your week look like, and where do you see questions coming up, or have you seen like needed accountability coming to
Sure.
fruition for you?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So this is my first full week of doing it consistently, because I was out of town, and then I had like a little hiccup, and then so this has like been my first full week of like seriously digging into it. I did like did all my worksheets prior to this. I listened to my videos, and here we are. So the thing that I have learned the most out of this um is my self-talk, which my self-talk is horrible. But the things that I have noticed is that and I discussed this with Lindsay, is I've been using this analogy with my plate, like this invisible plate. Like these are the things that are on my plate today. And if something else comes in that isn't on my plate, I'm not addressing it. Like it's not important to me unless it's like an emergency. Does that make sense?
Can you
Like,
give an example with that?
yeah. So okay, so here's my plate for today. I had therapy, and I had my nutrition. I have you, and then my dad and my sister and my niece. And so those are the things that are on my plate today. So if somebody comes in and says, "Hey, Belinda, like I need your help with this, and this," and I'm gonna say, "I can't do that right now. It's not on my plate for this morning." So that's always been very, very difficult for me to like. I've always wanted to take care of everybody. And so I would make my plate so full that I would shut down, and I would shut down with myself. I would help everybody, but I would shut down, and I'd be like, okay, I have to wait here in my house for the next emergency to happen. So I can't go work out. I can't go for a walk, because what if I have to come home? Do you know, does that make sense?
Yes, thank
So
you. This is awesome.
so this is where I am with this, is that my plate is my plate. What I decide to put on my plate is my decision. Like, instead of like instead of worrying about everybody else and what they need, I need to worry about myself and what I need and what I need to do to help the people that are on my plate that day, with me always being on my plate. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's awesome.
Okay. So so and I think I've said in the past where, like, I would become obsessed with like my negative talking. Like, oh gosh, I got to do this today and I got to do this today, and I would become overwhelmed, and I'm like, well, you have no time management. You you're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and get the same results unless I'm going to change something. So that's how I changed it, by saying, this is my plate, this is what I'm doing. I can't help you right now. I have to help myself and I have to do my other things. I hope that makes sense.
That's awesome. I love the
so
plate analogy.
this is my whole plate. Like, some plates are bigger, some people can handle more things. My plate is a little bit smaller because I'm trying to set boundaries with people, especially with my niece and especially with my dad. Even though I'm his main caregiver, I also have to stay vigilant and have a boundary with him. And that I always want to help people, I always want to make sure that they're cared for. So, with that being said, this whole week and part of last week, I I always use my plate, like my plate analogy. And I have noticed that when I say no to somebody, they're like, "Oh, okay, no big deal. Like, thanks for letting me know." And for the longest time, like, I never could say that to somebody. I could never say, like, no, I'm so sorry, I can't do this with you right now. I'm going to have to talk to you about this later. And so it's allowed me to have boundaries with people, and at the same time it's allowed me to, like, be able to only focus on my plate and not become overwhelmed. And when I become overwhelmed, then my negative talk comes through. So
Hmm.
so when I'm how do I say this? So I've had negative thoughts come up, and I acknowledge them and then I bat them away. I'm like, if something comes my way and I'm like, oh God, I'm so stupid, why did I do that? And I'm like, no, Belinda, that's not how we talk. Like, you have to say, oh my goodness, like, I'm so sorry, I forgot about that. I'll deal with that in a minute, and then continue on with my plate. And at least I'm not like saying bad things about myself.
So I have a question for you because it sounds like this week has been like strong. That's been working well for you. Do you feel like you've seen moments where it's not working, or are you like, I think this could last me the next, like, as long as I keep practicing this, this just stays in place. Like, have you found the
100%.
boundary thing? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, 100%. Like, if I stay focused on my plate, my to-do list, and I always if and I meant to say this before, my plate is always, I have to do something for myself first before I do something for the people that are on my plate. Like, I have to be the first one.
Yeah. That's good. I love
So,
this.
like my gratitude, like my three gratitude things, my three, you know and like the other thing is, at the end of the night, like, I've been doing like three gratitudes in the morning, and then three great things that happened during the day at nighttime. And I really think that like, writing down your positive um your positive things instead of negative things, it just teaches you like, oh yeah, that was really good. Or you did a really good job here. Like instead of saying to myself, like, what a horrible day. Like, you didn't work out, you ate like crap and whatever. Instead of saying, well, at least I got some food into me today. At least I got a lot of water in me today. And at least I was able to like go up and down the steps 10 times instead of like riding my bike or taking a walk. Does that make sense? Instead of taking the whole
Absolutely.
instead of taking the whole day and say, well, it was a garbage day. Like instead, like I'm trying to focus on even though I didn't get, enough food in me or enough protein or whatever the case may be, at least I did eat that day because I've been known to get so overwhelmed that I just don't eat for the day.
Right. So something that you're acknowledging is your wins. And I feel like
Yes.
your gratitude is helping you to acknowledge the wins in like really simple ways, which is amazing. And your plate is a huge win. And I'm just saying that out loud just so we can highlight it together so that it doesn't
Mhm.
lose its importance. And I think that like as we all continue to go through these aha moments, that they feel so like it's going to last forever, that why would I write it down? And it's like use the time to write it down while it's working well so that we remember to come back to it and go, oh yeah, that did work really well for me. Why am I not doing that anymore? If you were to start to fall away from your gratitude, that to be like, why and how did that fall away? This is important. I must come back to it. So thank you for pinpointing those. Because I
It's
feel like when you're at the beginning of something, we're excited and things flow. And then the longer we're in it, that it gets a little bit more difficult to keep that excitement level. So awesome. Are you are you having any moments of struggle or worry? Anything where you're like, I need help with next week, what that's going to look like? Or do you feel like you are just on cruise control for a minute?
No, and I've tried to take this stance of like it's one day at a time. I can't look like 4 days ahead of time because if I start looking 4 days ahead of time, like I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's a holiday weekend. We have to do this. I have to make food for this. I have to do this for this." And I'm like, "No, no, no, no. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like I do every single day."
Yeah.
Like I don't like stretch out, like I don't plan for the whole week. I try to take it day by day.
No, it's so good. And just so everybody else has a little background with Belinda, like there's weddings that she's planning. She's caretaker for her father. There's like a ton on your plate, like you were mentioning. So this day by day, huge.
Well, and I think I think it kind of goes back to like if you look at the big picture, like it is very overwhelming. But if I or tonight when I go to bed, I'll write down my three things that the stuff that is on my plate for tomorrow. And then I address it day by day because I feel like sometimes when you are thrown so many things at somebody at one time that they become overwhelmed and they don't do anything and they kind of resort back to their old ways. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I
Yes.
hope
And
I'm
I'm
making
wondering,
sense.
since I have you on here, if we should cover a little bit of limiting beliefs and go that direction, or do you have something else that you were hoping to more talk about today?
Um, no, I'm trying to no, I think more of beliefs today because that's where I am in my mindset is that I have to change my mindset before I can make a difference in my own life. Does that make sense?
100%. Yes.
Okay.
So my
So
question to you is, are you okay if we dig a little bit on what we'd previously talked about with kind of that
Absolutely.
fear base?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to walk you through a little bit of an exercise because I think this would be really helpful for everybody to walk themselves through this exercise. And it's this whole idea that we come into our health and fitness journeys with limiting beliefs about ourselves, about our journey. And sometimes it's I'm too old, I'm too whatever, I'm too lazy, I'm too broken, whatever that looks like. And whenever I hear somebody say, I feel like I'm self-sabotaging in my journey, this is normally that component that is happening that we're very unconscious about, that we normally can't put our finger on why we're self-sabotaging or why something's happening, but it normally all leads back to these limiting beliefs. And so when Belinda and I were previously talking, she was saying how she was kind of coming at her journey from like a very fear-based. She doesn't want, like, mom and sister were very unhealthy and very fearful that you are your mom or you are your sister and your future is exactly what theirs has looked like. So just to
Absolutely.
start it off, you have a belief that's holding you back. And if I were to put words in your mouth, it would be the belief is I'm going to turn into exactly what my mom and sister turned into. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you feel like there's another component behind this belief system that we're not stating at the moment, or does this kind of sum it up?
She's back.
Sorry, we're still good. Okay, where'd we leave off?
Um, you were just asking if those were the components that were holding me back.
Yes. Okay. Is there anything else that you wanted to add into that?
No.
Okay. So this is your next part. And like everybody, if you want to think about listing your own limiting belief, if one comes to the top of your head, you can work through this. The next question from this is, where did this belief come from? And
Where did this
yeah.
belief come from? Yeah. So my mom died early from complications of diabetes and just unhealthy ways. Literally, my sister did the exact same thing. My sister died at 53. She was unhealthy. She was diabetic. I mean, she had a whole bowl of diagnoses. So that's where this has come from. And I've watched them. I watched my mom do it and I watched my sister do it. And it is literally terrifying me. It terrified me to watch it. And then as soon as my sister passed away, I became like the self-sabotaging talk was immediate. And it wasn't until like a couple weeks ago when we actually spoke that I was probably at my lowest, thinking I just sat here waiting for like something else to come along, like I was going to get sick. And oh my goodness, I have a sore on my leg, it's going to turn into something else and I'm going to lose my leg. And this is all silly, but at the same time, this is all the trauma that I've kind of like swirled up in my head from my mom and my sister, watching them on this journey in life and not taking care of themselves.
Yes. Okay. You speak so beautifully, Belinda. Next question for you. How is this belief harmful for you?
Well, I mean, it's harmful because one, it causes me to have negative self-talk. It's harmful to be stressed out about this because stress, can do numbers on your body. and just plays into, like, all of this is played into depression and lack of motivation. And you would think that, watching a parent and a sister die from this, it would motivate you, but it's actually paralyzed me.
That scare tactic doesn't work, does it? It
No,
works on like 1% of the population.
exactly.
Yes.
So instead of it
Yeah.
like saying, oh, okay, I'm not going to be them, I'm going to do something about this. And sure, you can say that all you want, but I literally have been paralyzed.
Right. Okay. So that is like the paralyzed alone. It took you out of your workouts. It took you out of your healthy eating habits because you have a
Yes.
belief system that it doesn't really matter what you're going to do. It's not enough to avoid your future doom.
Yes.
Accurate? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So then what's really important is this next part, and it's how we're building a better belief system, or what would an alternate belief system look like for you that you can like kind of speak truth over yourself within your days. And I know these are big questions, but
So I think one is that um I think one that I have to, and I hope this is what you were asking, is that it all has to do with the gratitude of my day. Instead of having these running negative thoughts, it's all about like changing those thought patterns into positive ones, and then that is where the gratitude for me comes in. And the like, does that make sense? So
yes,
sorry.
absolutely. I feel like you've already kind of done it. Like your better alternative beliefs are you and I started to talk about this, but like you've got to find other truth, like because your truth is what you saw, and that's where all your fear came in. But the
Right.
reality is you are not your mom or your sister, and you've
Right.
upheld healthy habits along your life and fitness and like so that's kind of the belief system would be like you could word it in a way of here's fact. The fact is, I've had personal trainers. I've worked out for the last 20 years. I am sitting at, a weight that maybe I would always want to lose a little bit, but I'm not that unhealthy. Like there is truth in so many of if you look back and look at facts versus the fear talking. The
Right.
fear is not
Right.
talking truths over you.
Right. And I can't, I have to, it's almost, and this may sound odd, but it's almost like I have to have closure with that part of my life to move on with this part of my life. Like I need to say goodbye to my mom, my goodbye to my sister, and realize that me saying goodbye to them is relinquishing the trauma that watching them die was is it's over. And I now have to say goodbye and move and take all that trauma and put it to good use.
Yes, and here is just like public service announcement to anybody else listening that it sounds easy in theory to say that, and the reality is there's so many onion layers of saying goodbye and
Oh my
letting
gosh.
fear go, right? So this is step one, acknowledgement or insight building. And for some therapy, like for some, this is where together we can help build other resources, which I know you and I have already talked about, Belinda, but again, for anybody else listening, there's more to this. There's next steps. And this is just the beginning step of going, yeah, this is important to let go of this. And that is obviously what you are currently working through. And I'm so proud of you for digging because it's uncomfortable and I hear the tears and no one wants to feel that way. No one wants to uncover something and unwrap a bandage, a wound, but it takes that to like get to that ultimate sustainable success where like you have felt
Well,
like you've been on a good track and then fallen off and then on and then fallen off. Like that's this It's the emotional component that always brings us back to this, like, I got to figure this out so that the sustainable part can kick in. So I just really appreciate your
Right. And
vulnerability. You're amazing.
well, and I think here's the thing. I don't expect to be perfect. I don't expect anybody to be perfect on their wellness journey, and I will have hiccups, but it's all the tools that I'm getting from like the worksheets, asking me questions. These are all things that are taking my mindset in a more positive direction than such a negative, like a negative like direction. Like does that make sense? I hope I
Yeah, it
make sense.
takes like daily input coming in, right? Like daily positive, daily different input than what we're used to exposing ourselves to.
Can I tell you a story that I think that is so it's so necessary. So last week we were at my dad's house and I was having just a day with him. He was, he has dementia, so there is some like sunset things that go on with him where he becomes very agitated and mean at sunset. um and so you had sent me a text message that says cheering you on. Hope you're having a good week. And I was like, oh my gosh, that just helped me. Like you were like, you put headphones in to change the vibration of your mind. And so it was funny. So I told Amelia, my daughter, I said, Amelia, let's get out of the house. Let's go somewhere. And we started playing this game where we would ask questions to each other. Like I would say panda bears or crocodiles. Like, and we started laughing. So I changed the day, not by wallowing in self-pity about my father in him being mean, which he doesn't mean to be mean. It's not him that's talking. It's his disease that's talking. And so I was able to just change my mood by doing this little game with Amelia because you were like, okay, you need to change how you're thinking and let's and you gave me a tool, which was to put headphones in or talk to somebody. And so I was like, by the end of this like little like 40-minute drive that Amelia and I went on, I was in a completely different mood. Completely. And so Amelia says, do you want to get pizza tonight or should we just make salads at home? And prior to me having this talk with Amelia, I would have said, yep, let's just order pizza. The heck with it. Like, let's just eat a whole pizza together. No, we made a healthier choice because I was in a better mood.
Ah, this is such a good example. And I love that you even brought up the word vibration because it is
Yes.
more about shifting of the mood versus like talking
Yes.
yourself into a different mood, right? You needed,
Exactly.
yeah, a
Exactly.
jolt of,
And so
yeah.
and so what I took away from that was like you just sending me that one little thing saying cheering you on today, love you. Like I'm like, you know what? That's right, Lindsay. I do need to change my mood. I cannot wallow in this. I have to figure out how to change my mood. And I changed it just by a little like playing a little game with Amelia. And the, there's this thing that I do where like if I'm having a really bad day, like I'll save funny videos and I'll watch them. And then you have a truly different mindset when you're done, even if it's like 3 videos that you're watching and they're funny, but at least you've changed your mood. And I think that that's huge for me.
I love that you brought up this too, because like sometimes it is an external source coming in and like they just pop in at the right time, but we can't always bank on that. So to your
Right.
point, a YouTube dog video or something like that, like we can have control
Exactly.
over changing our vibrations. We just have to know where to look.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's good.
Like if something hits you at a time, like you're watching a video or something and it hits you, like and it makes me laugh. I'm like, oh, I'm saving that for a bad day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I just kind of found that whole thing so interesting last week of that I was spiraling out of control, and I would have easily eaten that whole pizza with Amelia, like, and was like, not a big deal, don't care, whatever, I'm gonna die anyway, of diabetes or something else. Like, that's how quickly I can go into that mindset. But truly giving me that tool to change the vibrations and change the mood with myself truly was chef's kiss. Like, truly.
It was a game changer. That's so awesome. Thank you for that story. So what I'm gathering from you, Belinda, is that all we need to do is hit the reset button, or not even the reset, just the like keep going button. Is there anything that you want to shout out that you want to be held accountable to this week? Or do you feel like you're just going to keep going with the plate, what gets to be on your plate during the day, and then setting your, what you want your food and
I
fitness
think
to
so.
look like?
I really, really, really need to. I really need to schedule time to work out, whether it take a bike ride, take a walk, do legs up the wall, do some yoga, whatever. But it has been, like I said, it's been a whirlwind. I was at my dad's, and then I had a diverticulitis flare up. So I really haven't done a whole lot of like physical activity. I mean, besides working in my garden and, doing normal day-to-day stuff. So that is where I'm struggling with right now, because I can talk myself out of taking a walk in 2 seconds. Like, oh, so that is where I'm struggling. Where I
Okay,
say,
so I
yes,
need
go
you to
ahead.
name, sorry to keep interrupting. I need you to name one thing that you're 100% going to show up to this week, and then touch base and say that you did it.
Working out 4 days a week.
Do you feel like 4 days is realistic?
I do.
Okay.
Because 4 day, I mean, I 4 days, if I say to myself for 4 days that you're gonna do 10 minutes on the treadmill in the morning and 10 minutes at night, that is doable for me. It hasn't
Okay.
been, because I've been so all over the board with not being in town and then being sick. But I know that for a fact that I can do it.
I love it. That's going to be the goal this week, and then we'll reassess next week. Okay.
Right. Yes.
And I think since other things are already flowing, the attention is there and you already know you're going to work on them, but this is your focus. Horse blinders on.
This is my
Okay.
focus. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Oh, I love it. Okay. I'm going to wrap us up, Belinda, and I'm going to just see if Busy, did you have questions, or are you playing fly on the wall today a little bit?
Trying to get off mute. I did have questions. I was going to write them down last night, but then I got busy, so I didn't write them down. So I guess I'll be a fly on the wall and come back next week with my questions.
Okay. Or if you even just want to set a goal with us while we're all here today, like that you kind
Sure.
of want to make sure we ask again about.
Drinking more water, less pop. That's a big thing for me.
Okay. And name an amount. Like if you drink 2 16-ounce water bottles, do you want to aim for one more? Like what's your next little bump up of what would feel good to you?
Let's just start with me doing the 2, because I bought a newer water bottle that it's app related, so I can tell, and it's supposed to cheer you on, and kind of silly, but it's expensive, but I really want like to build up the water intake.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. You want that to be your hyper focus for next week?
Yes.
Okay. And then, yes, write down your questions if you think of anything while we're still chatting on here. Throw it in the
Sure.
comments, okay? We're going to take that as a yes.
Oh,
She might
yeah,
have-
sorry.
Okay. Okay. Good. Jan, did you want to, I was looking at you and I had talked about this. Do you want to ask your push yourself too hard versus not enough type thinking question? I feel like this would relate with a lot of people.
Yeah. As soon as I
find it.
Yeah, I just came back from a vacation, and I walked a lot. I did a lot of stuff. And before I left, I would have told you I can never do that. So I know I'm capable of doing more than I think I can. But so I need to definitely push myself. But I also have been known to, I'm going to do this and I push hard and then I hurt myself. So I need to know how to fine tune giving myself a push, but not pushing too hard.
Yeah, and thank you for stating that, because I truly feel like this is so common. And we've got both sides where it's like when people just always push too hard and always get injured, that's super frustrating because you're like, oh, I'll just tame it down a little bit. And then the other side of you got to push a little, or else we're not going to be able to ultimately feel better. And so I think a really good way to keep assessing this is always you're very conscious about how do I feel in the moment, but almost more importantly, how do I feel the next day? So let's pretend you're walking and you're like, I can feel my knees. And I think a lot of us at this point would be like, so I'm going to stop because I don't want to be like debilitated by tomorrow. But what you were noticing even with vacation is if you were distracted, you kind of kept going and then you were fine for the most part the next day. You did hit a moment where it wasn't. But I was just going to say, so we under push initially, see how it goes, wake up the next day, see if we feel okay, and then we take that next gentle step again. So let's just keep going with just walking as our example. If you did 5,000 steps one day and you woke up and your knees felt fine, then it'd be 6,000 steps the next time you wanted to go walking. What most people do, and where like the almost instant injury can happen, is when we go from a 5,000 step day to now we're like on it and we're at 20,000 steps. And that's way too much of a gap. We got to close the gap and just take the incremental steps to go, okay, I did it. How'd it go? I did it. How'd it go? Because I think a lot of us like miss the let's assess part of it. Or we assess, but we don't really know how to assess. So in the moment is different than that next day is a very telltale. If you really aggravated something, inflammation is going to start to happen and it's not going to feel good. We're going to now be needing to take a leave or take something in order to get back to normal. And that's where, like, if you're working with a physical therapist or somebody specific on that, then they might even be telling you push through and we'll just do meds for a little bit. But they also might be telling you if that's what you're feeling, you need to stop. And so since this is going out to the general public, this is moments where I'm like, we all need our resources in our back pocket. And I know, Jan, you have Julie in your back pocket, who's been a wonderful resource for you, that I highly recommend if you are dealing with any post or current injury, you grab a self-pay physical therapist. You don't need a doctor's referral. And just get them on board so that you can ask them those questions like, I'm going to start working with a personal trainer. Is there anything you want that trainer to avoid? Or I'm going to start taking some walks. Is there anything that I should be avoiding or watching? What are my watch outs? So just getting good at asking those questions. Does that help?
Can I chime in
Yeah,
for a second?
Yeah.
So there is a girl that's on Facebook who is a physical therapist who gives out free information every day. And I find her information to be so very helpful when it comes to like knee pain or arthritis pain, and how to, instead of like walking 10,000 steps because it hurts you, she kind of gives you kind of some ideas on how to, instead of walking, to do this, this, and this. And I have found it to be very helpful.
Throw out her name.
Sure. Hold on. Let me get her information because I find her to be very informative.
No, that's awesome. Belinda, type it in the chat just so everyone can just see it.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to do it right now.
You rock. And
Hopefully,
Mom, oh, sorry.
Nope, go ahead. You're good.
Okay, put her in the chat. I was just gonna say, did you want to shout out anything, Mom, of like goals? We're gonna be moving into accountability week in our membership here soon. Is there anything? I know you like to work on things the week ahead of time.
I do, but I'm trying to be a little bit more like Belinda and just day by day by day and tackling it that way. I was on that same vacation with Jan, and my goals and what works for me is to with food is to have very deliberate meal plans, like 3 or 4 options for each meal. Those are the meals I take. Nothing is left just for unaccountability. I mean, I am like, I know I'm going to have oatmeal. I know I'm going to have a fruit. I know I'm going to have, like that kind of thing, and soup for lunch and a salad for dinner. And that doesn't change until I kind of get back in the groove again, because when you're on vacation, it's so easy to go off of that groove. And so that's something that's really helped, and it's easier if you already have something prepared and you're not even thinking about what I should be eating or could be eating. You just go, okay, well, it's salad. I can throw tuna on it. I can throw salmon on it. I can do, that's the only decision making that's going on. But then
that's your horse blinder focus is back to meal planning.
Is just staying on that one and doing something. And I'm going to say doing something physical. And I don't mean like as in an exercise physical. It'd be like physical as opposed to mental. Doing one thing that I can do for sure every day. And it can be like an exercise, or it could be playing the piano, or it could be, but I'm going to do something so that every day has at least one check mark in it. That was something that I wanted to accomplish. I love the plate idea, Belinda. Awesome. I mean, I have a little sheet of paper that I always write down 2 or 3 things on and say, I'm going to accomplish this today. And for the most part, I feel good about. Sometimes I have to transfer from that sheet to the next day, but for the most part, that really keeps me on task. So great idea. I love the insight, the assessment, the research. It's all such a part of it. And the accountability helps us to see where we're falling short of assessment or research. And so yay. Good talk today.
No, this is good. And I love that both of you, Jan and Mom, are talking about coming back from vacation. That's a whole nother chat of resets and grace. And it might take a week, especially with jet lag and all of that. And I know you're both going through that. So hang in there. What I thought would be fun, a way to close out these accountability sessions together, is I'll just go backwards, how we just did this. And everyone just has to throw out one win, one thing that you're proud of for yourself for this day, for yesterday, but one thing that you're proud of. So we'll start with Mom, go to Jan, Busy, Belinda, and then we'll close out. Okay. Mom.
Okay. Wine free since I've been back from vacation.
Nice. Wine free. Good.
Yeah. Oh, am I next?
All right. Go. Yes.
I think I'm next. My win would be Kathy and I exercise midway or 5 days a week. We've done it for over a year, and we've been on vacation. We haven't exercised at all. And today's the first day. We got up this morning and we did our exercises, and it felt really good. I'm like, whoa, this feels good. I was actually able to do a plank longer than I have before. So I was like, wow, this feels good. I'm liking this. So
I love it. Yay. That's so good. I love when exercise is finally like, oh, I liked it. That's good. Thank you. Busy.
My shout out would be that yesterday I actually was able to use this new water app tracking where you get the full green circle. So that was very, very exciting to get it. And it does like
the best.
It's at the bottom of the water bottle. It does like a special light up situation. So that was my little yay.
Good.
That was awesome. And you'll have to take a picture of your water bottle for us at some point so we can all get this visual of what this looks like.
Oh, sure. I love it. Yep.
Linda.
Okay. My yay is that as much as I've had going on in the last 2 weeks since starting this, that I've eliminated the majority of my self-talk, my self-sabotaging talk, and able to turn a bad day into actually a fun day.
Oh, so huge. That's something that you can't like teach. For whatever reason that clicked. And
It did
I
click.
pray it keeps clicking. Yes, like that's amazing. Oh, I love you all. This was
I
so
love
good.
you.
Thank you for joining me. I'm
Lindsay, what's
sorry
your
if anybody
win?
else had. Oh, my win.
Yeah, Linz.
Okay, I've got a couple. If anybody knows me at all, we're going through a lot right now with we're selling our house and so my wins at the moment with kids getting out of school, normally as I go into summertime, and especially with these extra projects of we're about to move and the house and I have kept my workouts, like going to the gym and lifting, and that's a big deal for me. Normally, that's the first thing to go when life gets busy in other areas. So I've just been proud that the self-care has still stayed at the top of the list, even when the chaos came. So thank you.
Yay. I think we should all give each other a round of applause.
I know we need something that's like direction, not perfection, powerhouse oriented, like something that it's just all ours. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but fist
Okay.
bump, high five.
I love you guys. I hope you all
Love
have
y'all.
a great week.
All
You
right.
too.
Bye.
We'll chat. All right. Bye.
Okay, sounds Lindsay,
Yeah.
we're doing this next Wednesday too, right?
Yes, this is going to be the new norm unless I have to cancel. Thank you
Okay.
for asking that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Bye all.
Okay.